Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Essentially Heroes. Got me, Etienne, and I'm back joined by
Johnny Farris. What's up, folks?
What's up, everybody? And today we are going to be covering episode 6 of WandaVision, which is from something that I saw online, the number one TV show in the world right now.
It is rating that high. It is rating that high. Huh?
Wow, congratulations, WandaVision. Like,
Disney owns everything.
Damn. Yeah.
It's them or Mandalorian, I guess. It's
Pretty
Marvel
much.
or Mandalorian.
Pretty much, yeah. Like I think, they're pretty much dominating the market right now, and yeah, we're gonna stay with the journey that we've been on so far. But before we get into our main topic for the day, we want to shout out our wonderful sponsor.
Thank you, our sponsor, Class & Co. Co-working space located in Brooklyn. They have two convenient locations, one in Williamsburg at 260 Ainsley Street, just a few stops off of the Graham Avenue L train stop, and also in Greenpoint at 750 Manhattan Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. Williamsburg location is on the third floor. 750 Manhattan Avenue location in Greenpoint, right when you walk in. Both beautiful event spaces in addition to co-working spaces that do have their own offices. If you have any questions or need some more info, go to classandco.com. Thank you to Class & Co.
Thank you to Class & Co. All right, so jumping into the topic for today, episode 6 of WandaVision. And they're continuing the hype with everything that we've been seeing so far. Are you doing it?
Don't let me stop you.
Yeah.
It is beverage time.
Yeah.
It is Lent, and accordingly, I'm not drinking any alcohol. So this is not beer or bourbon. This is sparkling water.
Yes. Even the smallest child may partake.
That's right. So, feel free. Enjoy your beverages, folks. It is a weekend evening and a cold night in New York with some snow on the ground, and we're nice and toasty in here.
Yes. And so with episode 6, they kind of start us out in a place that's very familiar to me, which is in the Malcolm in the Middle sort of setting, right? So
Yes.
and yeah, that was like one of the sitcoms that like I did grow up with. And so that being said, like the actual sitcom portion of the episode actually did sort of appeal to me. Like I actually found a lot of
you were enjoying it.
I actually found a lot of it like very funny.
It's all the nostalgia. So our TV show, our childhood TV shows, if you will, are now conforming with every episode, quite frankly, which is amazing. It's an awesome. I love it.
Yes,
I'm enjoying what they're doing.
Yeah, like from even just the opening, it was like exactly how they shot the Malcolm in the Middle opening, which was with the video camera and introducing everyone, and in the intro we see our buddy Agnes, who we'll talk about soon.
Sure.
And our new friend Pietro, who's kind of like the cool uncle slash what's his name, Reese from Malcolm in the Middle.
Yes.
Kind of that role, like the cool older brother who's like kind of getting his brothers in trouble.
Uncle P.
Yeah, he's Uncle Pete. And then for this they were doing a Halloween episode as well, which I mean, Halloween episodes were usually like some of the really fun ones when it came to sitcoms like that. So I was enjoying the vibes all the way through.
You're right. I do miss that there is a nostalgia to those childhood TV shows going through the certain seasons.
Yeah.
That I enjoy now also with my superhero cartoons. They do it somewhat as well, but those shows, like, especially when you were a kid and watching them, you weren't binging anything. There was no binging anything. There was when the show came out, You got all those shows. It's Halloween. It's the holidays. It's the Nanny did it. Growing Pains, Malcolm in the Middle, The Office. So
yes,
it's cool. And the Halloween episodes were funny. Yes,
they
almost
very
always.
much were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, there was a Simpsons episode that has always resonated. Like, I mean, they're famous for doing it every year. But
Yeah.
when I was a kid, I'm like, this is the funniest thing I remember.
Yeah. And I'm surprised that they haven't like really, or at least not that I've noticed, added a lot of Simpsons stuff in there.
Right.
Especially since they have the rights to the Simpsons now. But I don't know, like if I just missed it, or if it's or if they have like something very specific planned. But
Who's got the rights to The Simpsons?
Disney.
Disney has the rights to The Simpsons now.
Yeah.
Have they always had, or that's recent?
Well, they bought Fox, so now they have it.
Oh, God, you're right. Oh, my God. They could totally do a full Simpsons episode.
Yeah, they have it
Wow.
on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
They fully have the rights to the Simpsons now.
Jeez. I mean, I'm saying they could do a full animated WandaVision Simpsons.
Oh, yeah.
style,
Yeah, they
Matt
could, yeah.
Groening episode.
Yeah, 100%.
Or Family Guy. All right.
100%. And yeah, they do reference other properties that they have in the show. For example, they reference The Parent Trap and The Incredibles in this episode.
Yes.
Which
They were on the marquee.
Yes, which tie like pretty closely into the plot. Incredibles is about a family of superheroes.
That's right.
Who are like kind of hiding from, people
Society.
and trying to, just trying to get by as normal as possible. And The Parent Trap is about two twins who are trying to get their parents back together. And they switch places and, try and like live each other's lives, which also ties into the plot because Wanda and Vision are kind of like
Together but separate.
yeah, they're going through a rough patch.
Sure.
And as Vision is starting to like figure things out, and Wanda, she's trying to kind of just like come to terms with everything herself. And so yeah, I just love how they weave all this stuff, all this symbolism and all this like all these references into the show so organically. Like it's like a patchwork of stuff that you can just keep finding if you watch the episodes through again and again. It's like a Nolan movie or something. Like you just keep finding stuff.
If it was done as a Nolan movie, you're totally right. This would be Inception level complexity, I guess, based on the storyline, the content, and those little Easter eggs that are throughout every episode. It's cool.
Yeah, and so you have your cultural Easter egg, your pop culture Easter eggs, and your Marvel Easter eggs, which there are a number of them. Mm-hmm. And so on the flip side, so outside of that, Monica, Jimmy, and Darcy are kind of going on the attack. They're putting in motion their own plans to try and get the situation sussed out. So one thing that we see in this episode that is expanded upon in the next episode is Project Cataract.
Mm-hmm.
And Project Cataract is basically a project where Sword, I'm supposing, is trying to bring Vision back online in order to weaponize him, which is why we see them tracking Vision within the Hex, and
which they discovered that. Apparently Hayward's been doing it all along.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And he's had like I forget if it's probably in this episode where he and Monica are sort of having it out, and he says like you don't know what we've had to do to keep the lights on around here. You don't get like all the sacrifice we have to make, like that sort of spiel. To where he's basically hinting that he's kind of had to, decide to take some, I guess, less moral routes in order to kind of keep things moving in their direction, which we also see in this episode towards the end. But I just think it's cool how like as like as we keep like diving deeper into the mystery on Wanda's end, we kind of like dive deeper into Sword as well, because they have some things they're hiding at the same time. So I think that's really interesting.
And Vision.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm jumping around here, but how do you feel about the humanity of Vision? I know it's a part of the show, and I don't necessarily mean that, but maybe you want to wait until we get to where Vision is, where he is now. But the end of this episode, or as you move things along halfway through the episode, he's already out, actually. The Halloween, he's doing his own thing.
Yeah.
He's made it very clear. Oh, that was at the beginning of the Halloween, of the episode, of episode 6.
Yeah, so at the beginning of the episode, he tells Wanda, I'm heading out.
Yeah.
And pretty much from there, he's on his own.
And she's like, what? It's Halloween. I love that there's an acceptance, that she's not controlling him.
Yeah.
She's like, all right, I'm going to control everything. I'm going to control the world, but I'm not going to control our marriage.
Yeah.
There is a line for her.
Yes.
Which is interesting.
Yes, which, I mean, we'll see how far it gets pushed, but yes, there is a line, and it is slowly moving. But and so with that, one of the things that's sort of pushing the line is Pietro, because she actually gets to know him, or I guess this version of Pietro, better, because they're talking, and it's clear that neither of them are quite clear on the other. Like they're not as familiar as with each other as Wanda was with the Pietro when he was alive.
Okay. Right.
Or the
Ultron MCU.
Yes. Pietro. Yes. And so she's kind of like learning about him, and I guess more about her world as things go on. But by the end of the episode, we kind of see her sort of accept things more. Like she's sort of fine with it. Like she's fine with, them using their powers. She's fine with Pietro. Like she's kind of getting a level of acceptance for everything that's happening around her.
Well, it's in part because her brother, quote unquote, is sitting there saying like, "Hey, I know what you're doing.
Yeah,
I get it. It's cool."
Yes, which has spawned a fair amount of theories.
Sure.
So far as to Pietro's identity, which, I mean, the episode 7 doesn't quite clear them up, but I think that we sort of have a better idea of where things are going. Because when episode 6 had aired, it was my theory that Pietro wasn't Pietro, but he was someone else who was sort of controlling the scene. And
an emissary of Mojo, perhaps.
Yeah,
if only.
Perhaps. But I mean, okay, so I'm just gonna say this: I've sort of moved past Mojo.
Okay.
With how things
Listen,
have gone.
I'm on board with the Mojo train.
Took 6 episodes.
I would love it. I would love it to be Mojo.
Yes, so would I. But someone else has come into our purvision, and I think that instead of Mojo, and this is a theory that I came up with during the course of I think between episode 5 and 6, but Mephisto would actually be the culprit behind everything. And Mephisto taking the form of Pietro maybe came in to sort of like push Wanda in the direction that he wants her to go.
We got a footnote question for episode 7.
Yes,
about that. But.
Yes, I do have more to talk about with Mephisto going forward. Like originally, I was like, oh, are the twins Mephisto? Because in the comics, they are of Mephisto, and they even reference that in this episode where Pietro calls them demon spawn.
That's right.
Yeah, and by also the tone that he takes with Wanda towards the end of the episode, where he's like, "Oh, you and your dead husband," da da da. And then even with his like classic costume with like the hair slicked back, they kind of also did this pointy like ear thing on his
Halloween.
hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
They
I was
gave it
like,
the old school Jim Lee 90s X-Men look.
yes, but I was also like, are those supposed to be devil horns as well? Like, is that sort of like supposed to slip in there?
He had that look. He was one of a couple characters that had the Wolverine hair.
Yes.
He had,
I completely know that, but that's why it was so ambiguous if that's what they were trying to do with him at that point.
Interesting.
Oh, we got a comic book.
Thanks to the location, what's the word? We're recording on location here in New York. I love that. I've got Mephisto right there.
Ah, nice. Oh yeah.
Yep.
I think don't he and Thanos have it out, or was it something else?
He's like brokering the deal in the Infinity Gauntlet for Thanos to get the gauntlet. I think to get all the gems. I think that's kind of how it is. I think
I'm thinking of Galactus, because I know that he fights Galactus at a certain point, and then they like destroy the universe, or
Mephisto.
Or they like Mephisto and Galactus like fight, and then it like messes with the universe.
Yes.
But okay, so I'm thinking of something else.
Yeah, no, this was in the original Infinity Gauntlet, the story that led to Infinity War and Endgame. You've got Thanos coming to do what he does, take out half the universe, but in order to do that, he's got to get the gems, as we know.
Mm-hmm.
But in the book, he's doing that to impress Lady Death. But all the while, Mephisto is there, like, standing and sitting next to him and kind of like, I don't know, feeling out what his thoughts are. And he's like, I don't know, is you sure? We can take out this guy, we can take out this guy, we take out these heroes. These are the ones that are going to be the biggest in your way. Like, it's cool. He really is kind of like a broker. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's had his fingers in many pies throughout the Marvel continuity, and I think that they're gonna end up making him the, I guess, behind the scenes string puller of more stuff going forward, and then also retroactively make him sort of the mastermind behind certain events in the series. I'm not sure that they'll go as far as saying that he made Thanos, wipe out half the universe, but they might end up, adding something in here and there, like, Obadiah Stane was actually controlled by Mephisto, and like that kind of thing.
Interesting. All right, I like it.
Yeah,
that's an interesting thought.
Yes. But so this episode sort of the climax is when Vision finally decides, after talking to Agnes, and seeing how sort of messed up things are in Westview, he decides that he's going to break through the barrier and that he's going to see what's out there, to which he finds sword agents. And
before that, though, that conversation he has with Agnes is confirmation of what you seem to have known all along, that he's got this. He's not only is he clearly resurrected, but there's a massive amount of memory that's wiped out.
Yes,
he is a shell. He is some sort of he's rewritten by whatever Wanda's doing.
Yeah,
to the point that he's like, I love it. He's still investigating when she says, "You're dead. You're Vision. You're dead. Yeah. You are dead." And he's like, "Why would you say that? What does that mean?" Like, he's like, "Wait a second. It's not. I'm not really dead. But what do you mean? What is everyone dead here?" I think he's trying to figure out, is the town dead?
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah, and I think that we've sort of known that since, I forget if it was episode 2 or 3, where he tells Wanda that he doesn't remember anything before Westview.
Right.
While Wanda clearly has like more, I guess, perspective or info than he does.
I think it was at the beginning when the boss comes to his house. He's like, "How'd you guys meet? Where'd you guys come from?" Right.
And at that point, we didn't know like exactly the scale of like what was happening, but yeah, we knew that like memory was a major factor in sort of how the story was playing out. And so finally he breaks through the veil and Sword comes to meet him, and he's trying to campaign for them to try and help, like keep helping, like get the people out. But it's not long before like the Hex starts to like pull him back in and rip him apart.
Is it the Hex pulling him back in, or is it the reality of what's happening outside the Hex? He's turning back in. Does he disappear Thanos style? Or is he getting yanked back in? I wasn't sure, because it looked like at one point, like Darcy even says, like, "Oh, he's ripping apart. He's falling apart." Something happens to him.
Yeah.
Like
so
it was very reminiscent of the end of Infinity War.
Right. Yes. And so I guess it's not that it was like pulling him back in, like you said. It was more that he's dead outside the Hex, right. So it's making him stay dead outside.
Sure. It's a Cinderella thing. Midnight hits. That's it. Boom. She's back to Cinderella. He's back to dead Vision.
Yeah, pretty much. And then that's kind of where we see Sword sort of, I guess, waver. Like they're not really, we see that they're not really willing to, I guess, try and help Vision in any particular way. And
he's not good to them dead.
Well,
right.
Conceivably. I mean, so that's one thing that I theorized about in the last episode was like, oh, maybe they want him dead so that they can like take the parts back and then, rework him into what they want him to be. But then I guess sort of like skipping ahead a little bit, we find out that they probably wanted Vision alive, but they weren't able to resurrect him,
of course,
at the headquarters, and Wanda was the only one able to do that. And so, but yeah, either way, like we see them, they're sort of like letting Vision die all over again, which, and then Darcy, she tries to help, but then they like sort of like restrain her and leave her there, which, triggers Billy, Wiccan, as well as Wanda. So it triggers his psychic powers, and then he alerts her to it, and then that's when she springs into action and expands the Hex.
Did you see Billy stop? Wait, which one's which? Speed and Wiccan, right?
Yeah, Billy is Wiccan.
Billy's Wiccan, and Tommy is Speed. Yeah. Did you see the moment where Billy stops Tommy? Tommy's running around, zooming around, and
he
he
uses
stops
his powers to
him.
stop him.
Like,
yeah.
Whoa! He's all excited. I'm like, oh shit!
Yeah, they
really
officially got their powers. Yeah,
that was cool.
Yes, and so as they've continued to sort of grow within the Hex, they've developed their own abilities as well, which also ties into possibly Monica as well, but we'll cover that. But
interesting.
But yeah, I think that as they continue to develop, we're going to see more of their, I guess, struggle and like what them developing powers like means for them.
Between the kids, you mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, Wanda expands the Hex, and in order to like save Vision, and yeah, that is pretty much where episode 6 leaves off. Absorbs the Sword agents, and
just before that though, you got that moment where Quicksilver's not so brotherly anymore.
Yeah, which was what sort of.
I know you mentioned it before. You referenced
that's why I was like, what's his deal?
What does he say? Hey, like, your dead husband can't die twice, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and so I'm guessing that she didn't really want to talk to him much after that,
right?
But yeah,
she doesn't cope well. She needs to listen. Like sometimes brothers are dicks. He's the only thing right now that is in on the joke. In on whatever's happening in her mind. Whether he's an ally,
not the only person, but one of the only people.
Right, one of the few. Well, one of the few that she knows. Right. I mean, but whether he's a Axis or ally, I guess. She's got to keep him close. Keep the enemy close, potentially. If he's the enemy, like instead, shoot him out of the Hex. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, who knows what would happen if she did that. But yeah, so so as she expands the hex, the sword agents, like the majority of them get pulled in. Jimmy and Monica manage to escape, but Darcy gets absorbed into it. And sort of left there to to perish. Dick move on Sword's part, which I kind of, one thing that I'll say about Sword, and I guess Hayward, was that I was hoping that they would sort of give me more to work with, like give me more, I guess, reason to root for them, because obviously they want you to root for Monica's team, but I mean, he only explained that things were tough during the snap, but then Hayward makes all these like sort of rough decisions, and it's like, you could have gone about that better.
The writing is not there for that. I mean, they have the best writers ever they can call upon. They've got the most money, but it's not the same like Civil War. It's not like Project Cadmus in DC, where they very clearly could create this governmental organization by way of Sword that's not just there to assist the superheroes, but also to watch the superheroes, to protect against the public when shit goes wrong, which is exactly what is happening in this situation. And Hayward's doing his job. It's cool.
But it's different because like they know for a fact like what they're dealing with. So a lot of his plans don't seem to be geared towards like getting the best outcome. They seem to be geared towards
it's
just
brute force. It's what,
pissing her off and making her destroy stuff.
That's exactly what, and that's exactly what we know of the government. That's exactly what we know of the law enforcement of the federal government. And portrayed in movies, and it also happens in real life. Instead, they just knock the door down and fuck shit up and expect to get good results. So.
But it just sucks because there's so many good characters that like I want to like everybody.
Sure.
But then when it comes to Sword, it's like I want to like you, but you're not giving me much to work with. So that was my nitpick with their side.
I would love a full-on TV show focused on not necessarily the superheroes. Sure, superheroes could be a part of it, villain superheroes, but life in between that 5 years.
Yeah.
That span. Because there is something gripping there. There is something devastating. There's a loss. Yes, it would be like the show The Leftovers, I imagine. But
they have audiobooks.
Yeah?
They have audiobooks that cover that. Where it's in the MCU and it gives you the interim, and I'm pretty sure one of them even is about Darcy as well, and like what she's up to in that period.
And also I know it's not necessarily what you're looking for from your Marvel superhero stories, but it's got to be more depressing and dark and gloomy in that respect. But it's an interesting look. It's a cool perspective, and I love it. It's not, again, it wasn't 6 months, it wasn't 2 years, it was 5 years.
5 years, yeah. Like when you saw that 5 years later thing come up on the screen, you're like, oh, right. But yeah, so episode 6 comes to an end. Wanda literally turns Sword into clowns because, like, I think that's commentary from the writing staff. And then that's sort of where things come to an end. And my list of theories has more or less been resolved from that episode, but I was thinking of something that may have happened with Herb, because Herb is also one of the only people that sort of had some form of autonomy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we know the answer to that, but there are theories that he may actually be the High Evolutionary, and I think that would be pretty interesting path to go down.
Herb?
Yeah. Because High Evolutionary's like real name is Herbert.
Really?
So, yeah. So I mean, I don't know, but that might be something cool for them to explore later.
For the listening audience, because I know the High Evolutionary, I don't know well enough. Could be Kang level, could be the big bad, could be a potential Thanos down the line.
Maybe not Thanos level, but he is a major Avengers
Dr.
villain.
Doom level.
Something like that.
All right. Give me some info. Give me some quick background about the High Evolutionary. What he does, what he's looking for. Take over the universe, take over the world.
I'm not like entirely sure of like his like repertoire in the comics, but he is a super evolved human who looks to, I think, also like evolve the rest of the planet along with him
human.
or something like that.
He's human.
He's human, but he's an evolved human.
So he's like Apocalypse, but a human, not a mutant.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that. Like
Okay.
he was mutated so that his evolution like happened exponentially faster, and he became like a higher evolution.
I get it.
Person.
I get it. He's Homo sapien super
Yeah.
sapien.
Yeah, but I don't know enough about him to like go into detail.
Okay.
And then last thing, the commercial for this episode, the Yo Magic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Based on like early 2000s like Go-Gurt commercials and
right.
stuff like that. But it took a dark turn where, you know, the shark comes to give this kid the yogurt, but he can't quite open it, and he sits there and dies.
It gets eaten.
Yeah. and it felt a little too Faustian to be.
But they're getting darker.
Yeah.
Every commercial is getting darker and darker and darker.
Yeah.
No? I mean,
yeah, under the guise of
Yeah.
And yeah, it's heading in a very specific direction. But this was also one that made me think of Mephisto, because that seems like a very Mephisto thing to do.
Interesting.
To somebody.
That's cool.
So, you know, usually they're about Wanda's past, but I don't know. It's unclear on exactly what they're referencing here, especially with the term Yo Magic.
I didn't understand it. Yeah, I was trying. Yeah. I was like, all right, I'm missing it.
I was like, is this supposed to be Wanda, or is this supposed to be Pietro? Because the person in this commercial was a boy as opposed to a woman.
Right.
Like it usually is when Wanda is involved. But so yeah, that was episode 6. And
you keep referencing Mephisto, by the way. I just want to say, like I said, because I do have, as I have the Infinity Gauntlet graphic novel in front of me, and I'm looking at Mephisto. For those who don't know, Mephisto looks like Satan. He's got a red cape, the popped collar, Spawn style.
Yeah, very dollar store Satan kind of look going on.
Dollar store, but also Willem Dafoe would play him, and not Diesel Willem Dafoe, like Willem Dafoe now.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what he looks like. He looks like a skinny yoga instructor or something in his outfit. So for those who don't know.
Yes, pretty much. And yeah, he's a major player in very, like he's a recurring character in very many stories. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to just introduce him into things.
G'day, my name is Phoebe and I am Essentially Heroes' official digital helper and #1 fan. This episode is split in 2 parts and the WandaVision episode 7 breakdown is up right now. So what are you still doing here? Go listen to the episode 7 breakdown now, unless you're not caught up. But hey, a little spoilers never hurt. Alright, fine, go watch the show first and then come back to the video, if you want to be a baby about it.